What's going on, guys? It's Expert Jesse. Today I'm going to start something new. Just going to be going over trade recaps, and I'm not sure how frequently I'll be doing this. Definitely going to be doing it if I have a pretty good play or if I'm overall happy with my performance that day, which is why I'm doing it today. Today wasn't anything flashy. I had a couple 20 percenters and a couple 10 percenters on options, and a 3R or 350% return on investment in futures. So nothing extremely flashy, but what I was really proud of was I didn't chase throughout the opening bell. I got to my computer the same time I always do, normally around 9:35, 9:45, 10 o'clock, and I missed the move. There was a inside bar in the 5 minute at 9:30 for the 9:35 close, and if you were there and you saw that and you entered it, then you made a lot of money, and I didn't, and I just didn't want to chase. There was no real actionable signal, so we're going to go over that. Let's see what I saw in the morning, why I didn't really make any plays until or take any trades until later in the night. But yeah, so we're going to start off looking at ES. Anytime I do these trade recaps, I'll be looking at ES. So I have just some historic news. I'm actually going to delete the past ones here. This was just going over NFP and how it impacted the market, and yeah, that was talked about through my alerts as well. But we have, for this week, we have Powell speaking on the 8th, so that's going to be Thursday, I believe, at 9:10 Eastern, and then CPI, PPI, retail sales next week. Boom, boom, boom. Right, so some fundamental events there. You never know what's going to happen when Jay Powell starts to talk, and could flip the market either way. So just going to stay on my toes there. On the month, we have an inside bar from July, failed 2 up on August, and a 2 down starting the month on September. There's nothing stopping us from going fail 2 down. Flipping over, finding our new highs or not new highs, but retesting our highs of the 4,000 to 450 or 4050 area. But as of right now, what I'm seeing, technically, I would be looking to play the downside here, something along the lines of both of those as price targets, 37.24, 36.37. So if I'm looking for swings, most likely going to be on the downside, unless it's something inverse like commodities, something like that. So we started the session with Asia open at 8 o'clock and immediately dropped about 25 points. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when we open up tomorrow, right? We could totally just open up and shoot 25 points up and hit the new highs of the day or what have you. Today's already a 2 down day. You never know. It could turn out outside bar. You gotta play what's in front of you. But start of the week, start of the month, I'm playing a little carefully, and that was part of the issue today. So I started, and I usually get to my computer about 9:30. Well, no, 9:45. 10 o'clock is when I normally start trading. My trade plan says I don't trade the first 15 minutes of the open. Sometimes I deviate from that, and sometimes I win, most times I lose, so I try not to deviate from that. But I got to my computer here at about 9:45, and this is what I saw, right? We had a really just straight 2 down, and then if you know how I play, I normally look for the reversal to the upside. Well, we had it being the start of the new month, start of the new week, for me who plays a strat, your candles are going to be pretty thin. Okay, so if I'm looking here, let me go back to today. Anytime a candle opens, it's going to open and be a doji immediately, right? Because it's not going to open and move. Even if it gaps up or down, it's still going to not have any candle body. So I saw that, and the week was, flipping from green to red, and the month was doing the same. At that point, everything's red. So I did have a couple people who I know played to the upside, but for me, if I'm hitting this bar replay button here, This is what I saw. I saw inside bar, and I was really, I even had a line drawn here. I'm sure I did. Just waiting for it to break down there because I have full time frame continuity down to the downside. And then we break up, and then we have the day, the week, the month against the trend. But the 15-hour, everything lower time frames obviously going to be green. So could I have played to the upside? Well, absolutely. There was money to be made to the upside, but if you do that, you got to know that you're in a retrace. So for me, um, absolutely there was money to be made to the upside. I couldn't pull the trigger because I just wasn't comfortable playing a retrace. You never know if it's going to be a very thin retrace. Here it was actually a deep retrace. We went right to the 618, wicked above it a couple times, and then shot back down. So that's the reason you didn't see any plays from me until I think my first play was like 11 o'clock. Um, not very typical of me. I'm usually around that 10 o'clock area. But let me pull up my first alert, and I didn't do any homework before this on what my entry was, but we'll take a look here. So first alert here at 11:16. So we'll go here to the 11:15. So right here on this candle, and I started to go short. If I'm hitting bar replay here, this is likely as soon as we crossed this area going down to the downside. We had a 2-2 reversal with everything I care about, full time frame continuity to the downside. I don't really care about the 4-hour time frame personally, and I don't care about the quarter because that's obviously not going to change very frequently. So I mean, I would love to play with the quarter if I can, but if I'm scalping just day to day, I don't care about, especially intraday scalps. I don't care about the quarter. I only really care about the day and the week, and then I would love to trade with the month as well. So I saw a 2-2 reversal. My entry was, if I'm looking at this on the other screen, 30.25, so just before the break, and stop loss was 10 points. So 10 points is, it's loose for minis, and it's a little tighter than I play micros. So if it's me, I'm pretty sure I took more micros instead of a couple minis here, just to be able to trim along the way. This guy ended up hitting 50% and then shot right back to break even, and it was a 50% gainer. And if you don't know, here's a good time for me to tell you. When I alert in futures, obviously there's no percentage because this play here, from here to here was 0.13%, right? So my percentages are all based on risk. So here in this little tool down here, it's the long or short positions on TradingView. It just calculates based on your risk. So if my risk is $500 per trade, and this trade was 10 points wide, well, what I would do is either mentally or actually put it on a calculator. I would do 500 divided by how many points I can lose. And this is how many dollars I can lose per point. So I can lose $50 per point. Well, I can do one mini, right? Because one mini is going to be equal to $50 per point, or I can do 10 micros. So that's how I calculate it. All of my calculations are based off risk. So if this play, if I'm risking $500 and it goes 5 points in profit, I'm up $250 or 50% of my risk. If it hits my stop loss, I lose everything I risked. I lost $500. Okay, so that's essentially how I alert and how I do my percentages. Some people do points. I don't love doing points because I also trade crude oil and the Russell 2000, and those things move like crude oil could move 70 cents, and you could make way more money than you would on NQ, where one play could be 130 points. So that's the kind of happy medium I've gotten to not like fluff the percentages, but also keep it realistic. So that's how I calculate those. So that was a 50% play. And then in VC, I also, we charted out this 5-minute imbalance, and I'm going to touch on this because of my recent video that got it's gaining some popularity, the smart money concepts. So my next play was at 12:08, so we're still a little ways away from it, but let's see if I can find. So we had a 2-on-2. This is pretty much when I entered, somewhere in this candle. My let's see if I can screenshot it real quick for you guys. My entry was 31.25. So about halfway down this candle. And on the 5-minute, we had a 2-1-2. So I generally like to play on the 15-minute, but for futures, I'll go down to the 5-minute, especially. I know that we were already forming an inside bar here, and I was expecting the break below. So I entered right before the break below this inside bar before we ended a 3-1-2 down. And the reason is because we had a 2-1-2 down on the 5-minute. So we had an early entry into the bias that I already had and was hoping for. So 31.25, my stop loss again was 10 points. So I always wait for candle close. So as you can see, most retail investors here would put their stop loss probably at 11.5 points. You definitely can. I do not. I have a mental stop loss. It's definitely something to paper trade first to understand why I have a mental stop loss. I use a mental because pretty much of these wicks, right? So let's say you had you were going to go on this bar here, and you're wanting to go to the downside. Well, almost all retail investors, and if you saw my smart money concepts, you'll understand this. All retail investors are putting their stop loss right there. Well, let's see what happens the next candle wick. Everybody who had a limit order and their mother are all stopped out now. And then ultimately, and we'll see here with the play I called out, if you had a hard stop loss, you're stopped out, and now you're 10, 20 points in profit, and you missed all of that, all because of a limit stop loss. So I have a mental stop loss. Now there's two sides to that coin. If I wait for a candle close, but if it's clearly moving with momentum and volume, I'm out. I'd rather take a loss a little bit bigger than I normally thought. If I'm risking $500, I'd rather take a $600 loss, and because first of all, I know I don't lose incredibly often, and second of all, I know that the times that I do end up winning because I had a mental stop loss end up being plays like this. So anyway, we'll go back to the play. This was my trade idea that I sent out at about 12:08, and it ran for 350%. It actually went a little bit further, but I only alert every 50%, so I'm not spamming the alert channels with everything I'm sending. So we ended up going a little bit, but the reason I want to bring up ES real quick, and I gotta keep moving because we're 13 minutes in and I haven't even touched the options, but just tailing off of that smart money concepts, I'm going to delete these lines and show you, we talked about this today, an imbalance, right? So if you remember from the smart money concepts, an imbalance is the difference between, you take 3 candles, so 1, 2, 3, take the low, take the high, take the low of candle 1, take the high of candle 2, or sorry, candle 3, and the difference is an imbalance. I explained this in text. I'm not sure if I covered it in the video, but my working theory is that let's say you're a big whale and you have 10,000 orders that you're wanting to send on ES, and 10,000 orders and only 5,000 of them get filled. Well, only 5,000 get filled, and price never comes back up to fill the rest, and you have a limit order because you don't want to just get in at any fill. You want to get the best fill you can. Well, if only 5,000 of those orders got filled, well, now we have a resting 5,000 orders, right? So we have a resting 5,000 orders here, okay? And then we have another imbalance coming up. So we have candle 1 and candle 3, this little imbalance here. Well, this thing, say we had 10,000 orders and only got 7,500 of them, or let's say we got 2,500 of them filled. Well, now we have 75,000 or 7,500 orders just sitting in this little block So you never know, obviously, unless you're an institution. I've never worked for an institution, so I don't know exactly how they trade. But these type of things you can predict. Um, and so as we see here, as soon as these imbalances were plotted, I wanted to see what happened when we came back up to them. And look at this. Look at this. 3 bar coming up, and where do we wick? Right inside the imbalance. If you're drawing that imbalance, if you drew that when we did it at 12:15 as smart money traders, you knew this was coming, right? And you had the ultimate target of shorting up here at this bigger order. These 5,000 orders, 7,500 orders. Obviously, I don't know exactly how many orders there are. This could just fly through, fill the imbalance, and there was only 10 orders there, for example. But there's so many orders here that see what happens. Boom, we touch the imbalance. We go back further down. We hit the where I trimmed at 350, so 3.5% R, and then we come. Pretty sure we come back up, and it's no coincidence that we rejected in the same exact area that we plotted before with the orders, right? So just something really interesting to see. I saw it today while I was trading, and well, actually somebody brought it to my attention, and I just plotted it, and I said, hey, we'll come back to it later today and see how price reacted to it. It's really no surprise. And when I was talking about how imbalances don't have to be a rejection, here's an imbalance, a bullish imbalance, but price just shoved right through it. So it's not an end all be all. It's not I could plot a imbalance and play off of it every single time. It's just something to have on your chart so that if price does start to curl down, so if I saw price come back here and reject this area, I'm shorting it to until it's dead. So just something to keep an eye on. But those were the 2 futures plays. I had a SPY option put. Pretty sure it was the same exact time. Yeah, 11:18. So it was the same around the same time as my my first ES short. Grabbed 20% out of that. Same chart though. I had an Oxy call or Oxy put. I entered that at 10:31. So I pretty much only play my options off the 15-minute, and I'm gonna guess I probably got caught up in here and ended up going in a little bit of drawdown. Actually, my stop loss was high a day because I know that Oxy doesn't generally give me too many failed 2 downs or what have you. Generally, here's one the other day, but pretty much the whole market did that. But most of the time, if it ends in one or starts in one direction, it's going to end there. So I was okay going a little bit of drawdown. And actually, I had this Fibonacci line marked from the pre-market highs to the daily lows, and I ended up dollar cost averaging about, let's see when I set it, at 11:49. So pretty much right at this peak here, I dollar cost averaged, and I think it was right before it went up near the golden zone. And I ended up getting out of there for 20% gain. So not all plays are going to be flashy. That one I just was pretty confident in because I knew it was either going to retrace and hit the daily lows. It probably, actually, I didn't hold this long. Let's see when I got out. I got out at almost 2 o'clock. So I guess I was down here too. And like I said, hit about 20%. So that was the day trades today. I entered into a meta put debit spread, and the reasoning is pretty simple. Monthly is a back-to-back inside bar on meta. We are a red bar because we opened up here and we are currently down here. So we're red on the month. Weekly, we're inside and red on the week. Daily, this is the main reason. We failed to up and ended the day 3, and then we started the day as a 2 down. So I was just looking for a way to get into meta. I was already in some puts, got out of those for a 10% gainer. And I missed those on the recap for today, but I did get out of those for 10% early on. And the reason was because we went 2-1, 2 up, and I knew that we were just going to retrace and go further down. Well, I didn't obviously know it, but that was my bias. So we ended up, if I'm drawing the fib, we ended up going a little bit deeper than a 61.8 retrace, but we never closed above it. And that's again why I stick with my candle closes. So a lot of chop today. I entered meta. Let me get into my swing channel here. I entered meta at 1050, so I'm guessing at this 212. Well, just before the 212, and I'm still in it. So the market's down. Hopefully, if it stays that way, I'll be able to trim some tomorrow. But that was the bias. Everything's red. I saw a good entry on the 15-minute with a daily already red, and that's good enough for me to enter. MU showed on my daily scanner as a 2-2 reversal, and I looked at it. Monthly, we're flat, doji. Weekly, we're inside bar but red, and daily, we're, like I said, 2-2 reversal. I looked at the chart and I got in the 55, 54 puts. The spreads are a little wide. Probably could have gotten a little better strikes, or maybe even a credit spread, but ultimately my first price target is here at 54.77. So that would get us pretty daggone close in the money. But I mean, ultimately, if we break that, we're trying to get down to 52, then down to 51.5. So MU was just a 2-2 reversal. I caught off my scanner, and I liked what I saw. I'm not sure. Let me see. I had 250. It doesn't really look like any huge indicators on the chart. Maybe a 2-2 reversal, but MU was just one that I can see a lot more downside with the 2-2 reversal. Pretty much everything is red on it, and that on top of the market overall being red, like I saw at the start of the day, led me to that MU. There were a couple other ones that I was looking at. I was looking at Netflix. Profit target down here at 211, ultimately down to 188 if we cross that. I don't want to play too much macro. Macro isn't my strongest suit. So I don't really want to play for a, what's that, 20% decrease, 13%, quick math. That's a long way for the stock to go, and I'm not sure how long it's going to take. We took to get out of this range of 13 to 19%, took us a month and a half, and generally I don't swing for that long, and a lot of things can happen fundamentally in a month and a half. So wasn't too comfortable playing Netflix, but that's the recap for today. So like I said, not a super flashy day, but just overall really happy with myself not chasing at the opening bell and waiting for the plays to come to me. And because of that, I went 3 for 3 in options and 2 for 2 in futures. So patience pays, and hope this trade recap helped you. If it did, leave a like button, leave a comment, let me know that you watched it, and any feedback you have would be helpful. Have a good night, guys.